Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for coming to Beginner's Yoga tonight. I'm really excited to be here with everyone. You're going to need a yoga mat, maybe a towel, some water. If you have any blocks, props are always nice to have, but if you don't have them, of course, it's absolutely okay. So we're going to warm up the body first with some sun salutations, and then we'll get into some balancing postures and standing postures, a little bit of core, and we'll end with some back bending and twisting. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and meet in downward facing dog. And with the fingers spread nice and wide, we'll just come up onto our feet and hands. We'll just stay here for maybe about 5 breaths. What can be really nice is you can pedal it out, dropping one heel and then lifting the opposite heel up. And we're just kind of coordinating the breath a little bit as well, in through the nose and out through the nose. Nice. Couple more just like that, really pressing down through the joints of the toes. And when you draw the heels down to the floor, whether they're at the same time or one at a time, just feel that nice stretch to the backs of the legs. We'll walk our feet to the top of the mat. As you walk your feet to the top of the mat, we'll keep a slight bend into the knees. Inhale, lengthen forward, so maybe the fingertips touch. And on the exhale, just forward fold, keeping that bend in the knees. On the inhale, we'll reach the arms up towards the sky. This can be a nice stretch here. And forward fold, bringing it back down. On an inhale, lengthening forward once again. This time we'll step the right leg back. So as you step the right leg back, you want to get that nice long lunge, backing that left knee over the left ankle, and then stepping back, high plank pose. Now to take it into low plank pose, I'm going to drop my knees down for the modification, but you can keep them lifted. Coming forward, you can even take it all the way down if you'd like, and then lifting up into upward facing dog. We'll just stay here for a breath or two. My knees are touching the floor, but if you want to lift those knees up, you can. Great Cobra Sema, that's it. And then we'll go back to down dog. It's just a great way to add a little bit of movement to our practice as we warm up the body. The right leg will lift up, and then take the right foot to the top of the mat. Sometimes it won't get all the way to the top, so it's totally okay to pick up the foot and just move the foot to the top. Left foot will meet the right. We'll come back to the top of the mat. Inhale, lengthen, hands to shins is also a great option too. And then exhale, forward fold, so the head tucks in slightly. Arms reach up, full breath in. Now we're gonna do that on the left side. Exhale, forward fold, coming right back down. That bend in the knees will also help open up that back a little bit too. On the inhale, lengthen forward, and we'll step that left foot back. We're just going to take in our time here. We're really not kind of rushing through it, but just letting each posture feel good. When you're ready, we'll step that right foot back to meet the left. You can keep the knees sit, or once again, dropping the knees. Exhale to low plank pull, shoulders forward, elbows back, and then upward facing dog. You can always separate the knees a little bit if there's any tension in the lower back, as well as dropping the knees. We'll go back to down dog. And from here, we'll lift that left leg up to a comfortable distance, and we'll step that left foot through to the top. Now my left hip's a little bit taller than my right, so sometimes it doesn't always make it there. And then we'll step that right foot forward to meet the left. Inhale to lengthen the spine. And then exhale, forward fold, just letting it go. Inhale, arms reach up. We're going to do that one more time on the right and one more on the left. Exhale, forward fold, bending the knees, letting that stretch the lower back. Lengthening forward, stepping that right foot back. If it doesn't go all the way back, you can do baby steps to the back as well. And then stepping that left foot back when you're ready. Once again, dropping the knees and taking it either all the way down to the abdomen or low plank. Upward facing dog or cobra. Perfect, yes, yes. And then we'll take that back to down dog. And we'll lift that right leg up. we'll step that right foot through to the top of the mat. Left foot meets the right, lengthening the spine, and a forward fold. Arms reach up. Circle the sun one more time on the left side. Arms come back, so squeeze the arms, engage that core as the fingertips come all the way down. Now you can release that grip once the fingertips come down. You can even create a little bit of space between the feet. Two options here. You can either lift the right heel and bring the right hand underneath the heel, or take the hand behind the calf or the ankle. Same thing, either lift the left heel and cup the left heel, or take your hands behind your calves. Tuck your chin in, kind of dangle the head a little bit, and then just hug your elbows behind your legs. As the elbows reach behind the legs, you'll feel a stretch to the upper back. There is a tendency to kind of create tension in the neck and the jaw, so try to release those areas. And just focus on drawing the elbows in. Maybe start to straighten the legs or keep them bent. Release the grip, bringing the hands in front, keeping the slight bend in the knees, which is really important so we don't strain the lower back. Interlace the fingers, release the index finger, coming all the way up with a flat back as best as you can. And we'll release those hands down to our side. Go ahead and take your 2 fists. You want to separate your feet 2 fists apart. Nothing more than that. It's just a great, perfect, yes. And then reach your arms forward so that they're shoulder width and shoulder height, parallel to the floor. Relaxing the tops of the shoulders and just sitting back into chair pose. So this is just kind of a way to warm our legs up before we get into the balancing series. Feel the weight shift into the heels so the knees naturally go back behind the toes. Go to a place that you can hold and sustain this posture. We won't be here for too long. Breathing in and out. Keep relaxing the tops of the shoulders. There's that tendency to kind of bring the shoulders up. That's it. And we'll slowly begin to straighten the legs. Now, keeping the fingertips or the arms where they are, spread the toes and just come up high onto the balls of the feet. Feel the heels lift. Maybe this is just where you are for these next several moments. If you can keep the heels lifted and start to bend back into chair pose, you go for it. Or maybe you just stay with the heels lifted. But the moment that the heels begin to drop, then what we've done is we've started to lose the integrity of the pose. So keep the heels lifted. Maybe start to bend the knees, maybe not. Hug those inner ankles in towards each other. Uh-oh. That's it, Seema, that's it. And then we'll start to straighten the legs, dropping the heels. Taking your time. Sometimes you'll even feel a little bit of a burn just keeping those arms reaching forward and up. Turn the toes in towards each other. Allow those thigh bones to reach towards each other as well. The heels will naturally begin to lift up off the floor. And then depending on your range of motion, you go down as far as it feels comfortable for you. Squeeze the inner thighs. Really healthy for the knee joints, but once again, only go down to a place that feels good to you. As I squeeze my inner thighs in, I draw my shoulders back. We balance on the balls of our feet. Yes, yep, and the heels naturally rise up. That was perfect. Okay, so now the key is can we go back up the same way we went into it? Maybe, maybe not, it's okay. Squeeze those inner thighs and come all the way back up. Yes. And we'll release those arms. Woo, felt good. So for this next one is Garudasana Eagle Pose. So reach those arms up nice and high. This is my favorite part of the pose. And we'll bring that right arm underneath the left arm. And so what we're doing is we're crossing the arms. Now you can do two things. You can grab the shoulders, perfect, or bring the hands or the palms together. We'll sit back in that chair pose, maybe not as deeply as the one before, taking that right foot up and over, either placing it on the floor next to the left foot, or maybe just hovering those toes over the mat, maybe bringing them behind the left calf. The key here is to kind of bend that left leg as much as needed, and then eventually aligning the knees, the navel, and the elbows. As I hug the elbows down, I sit back into my eagle pose a little bit more. And it's okay if we fall out. That's what I love about yoga. That's why they call it a practice. And we'll release this side. Woo, that was my left side too. Inhale, arms reach up nice and high. We'll go ahead and take it to the opposite side. So this time that left arm goes underneath the right, either hands to shoulders or hands to hands, thumbs facing the forehead. I'm gonna sit back once again. So I have that bend in the right knee, and that left leg comes up and over. Relaxing the tops of the shoulders, getting that good stretch through the upper back. A few more breaths here. And we'll release that left foot down, inhaling those arms up towards the sky. Nice, and we'll just release the arms down by our side. So for this first pose, our balancing pose, it's called forehead to knee. We're gonna start by just spreading the toes of that left foot out, and then lifting that right thigh, so the right thigh is parallel to the floor, and the ankles underneath the knee. I'll flex the ball of the foot so I can see it in the mirror. Yeah, that's awesome. You wanna make yourself as tall as possible. So we're doing 2 sets of these this evening. And on this first set, we're just focusing on standing on one leg. This is great for the arches of the feet, the ankles. And let's release that right foot to down. Side number 2, I'll spread the toes of my right foot so I feel nice and rooted, that quadricep muscles engaged, and then that left side will come up. You'll always find that one side is just a little bit easier to balance on than the other. Totally okay, yeah. Bringing your attention back to the breath as well, breathing in through the nose and out. And we'll release. Oh, sometimes I feel like a fish out of water sometimes when I fall out. So for this next one, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to add on to it, but you can absolutely just stay where we were. Balancing on that one foot. So spreading the toes of the left foot, we'll inhale that right thigh up and stay right here because there's a lot of benefits. Or we're gonna take the modification of forehead to knee tonight and interlace the hands underneath the right thigh and extend that right foot forward. One more breath here. And we'll bend that right leg, placing that right foot on the ground to meet the left. Okay, side number 2. Notice the sets are a little bit shorter than the first one. So we'll lift that left thigh up. Once again, staying here, or maybe you choose to interlace the hands underneath the leg and extend that foot forward, like you're trying to put a footprint on the mirror. It's a great modification for forehead to knee. And I'm flexing that foot so I'm stimulating the muscles in the leg that's lifted.
Bending that left leg. We'll place that left foot on the mat. Whew. This next pose is a great counter pose to that, the one that we've just done. This is standing bow. So the feet will continue to stay together. We'll reach the arms back up towards the sky. We're going to do one set of these this evening. So as you reach the right hand behind you, you can also use a wall if you need a little bit more support for this particular pose, picking the foot up from the inside, a couple inches below the big toe. And I even like to stay here in this standing pose or this prep part of the pose for a moment or two as I get my balance. And then maybe start to hinge forward as you kick back. So like any pose, if you happen to fall out, feel free to get right back in. And maybe you don't hinge forward. Maybe it's just holding the foot there as you find your balance. Oh, my left side is always just a little, yeah. It needs that practice. Great hold, Seema. Excellent. We'll release that side. Oh, yeah, here we go. So no matter how much yoga I do, I always feel like it's still, my right side always just feels more stable than my left. We'll reach those arms up towards the sky. We'll see what side number 2 has for us. Left arm goes back. Keep that thumb up. And we'll reach for that left foot. Bringing the legs back in towards each other. And this right here is a lot. Just holding this particular shape. Either you stay here or maybe you start to hinge forward as you kick back. You hinge forward, but you want to keep the collarbone lifted. In fact, if you bring your gaze forward and slightly up, you want your collarbone to go in that direction. So back bend in the upper chest. It's also a shoulder opener and so much more. Few more breaths here. Great counter pose to that standing forehead to knee. And we'll release that left foot down. We'll make our way to the back of the mat. So for this next one, this will be our last in this particular series, the balancing series, Kourna Tulandasana. Reaching the arms up towards the sky, interlacing the fingers and releasing that index finger. We'll go ahead and point or step forward with that right foot and point the toes of the left foot. Slowly begin to hinge forward as that back leg lifts up. We're not going to hold this pose for too long. Keep breathing, but just long enough to really elongate as you point forward and reach back and strengthen that standing leg. Stepping back with the left foot. That right foot will meet up, arms stay up towards the sky. This is one where we sometimes forget to breathe. So if anything, just keep breathing. Step forward with the left foot. Start to hinge forward. Right toes reach back, fingertips face forward. Breathing, breathing. In through the nose and out through the nose. And we'll step back with that right foot. Woo, release the arms down by our side. Now I always like to do the second set sometimes just a little bit different. So this time, whether your arms are out wide or maybe down by your side, we'll still step forward with that right foot. Hinge forward, maybe reach back. Just so you can start to play with some of that range and motion. Great breathing, I can hear it. That's it. We'll step back with that left foot. Awesome. Okay, here we go. One more time. Stepping forward with that left foot. Last pose in this balancing series. Reaching forward as you reach back. Breathing in and out. And we'll step back with that right foot. Well done. Left foot meets the right. Oh, now is a great time to take a sip of water. Wipe down if you've got a towel. We're about to get into our wide-legged forward fold series. Yes. Water feels good. When you're ready, oh, you got it, Shiva, yes. So we'll just kind of step out nice and wide. Take your time. Arms will go out to the side. Inhaling through the crown of the head, and then the exhale, we'll take that forward fold with the hands coming down to either the ankles or the outside edges of the feet. If you need more stability and you need to place your hands down on the floor in front of you, please do. Let's inhale, lengthen, just slightly reaching forward. Exhale, forward fold. We're going to do that 2 more times. On the inhale, lengthen forward. Exhale, forward fold. 1 more. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Taking the hands either to the hips or to the outside or parallel to the floor, rise all the way up. Once you reach all the way up, take your time. Sometimes if we forget to breathe, it gets a little dizzy. Take the hands behind the back and interlace them. You can also grab hands to a towel or to a strap. Inhaling, lengthening up again, and on the exhale, folding forward. This time the fist going up and over the head. And again, inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen. Forward fold. Last one. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, forward fold. Take it slow. Keep breathing as you reach all the way back up again. Always breathing. This next one is Garudasana Arms. So the right arm will go up as you place that right hand on your back. Left arm will go behind your back, and you'll bring the fingertips together. Now they might not touch, and that's okay. So you can just hold on to your shirt. We'll inhale, lengthen up once again, and then an exhale, forward fold. So gripping the shirt is absolutely okay. Inhale, lengthen. Always breathing. Exhale, fold. Again, inhale, lengthen. Forward fold. 1 more time. Inhale, lengthening. And exhale, softening. And then inhale all the way back up. All the way. Sometimes I do an inhale and an exhale as they come up. Last time. Left arm will go up this time, left hand to the back so the elbow reaches up towards the sky. And that right arm will go behind so the fingertips will come together. Last time. On the inhale, lengthening up. Exhale, forward fold. Remember to be okay if the range of motion is a little different on one side than the other. Inhale, lengthen, and of course, modify always. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. 1 more. Let the inhale guide you forward as you lengthen forward. And on the exhale, forward fold, that forehead reaches a little bit closer to the mat. And inhale all the way up, using the breath and the strength of the legs. Take your time. Once you reach up, we'll release those hands. And you're going to toe heel the feet in a little bit as you reach the arms up. Right foot meets the left. Arms release down by our side. Now we'll get into our Warrior 2 series. So this time we'll once again reach the arms up towards the sky and step out nice and wide. Nice. And we'll turn let's start with the right toes out. And we'll bend into the right toes for Warrior 2. This is an excellent pose for just opening up through that right hip joint. And at the same time, strengthening the leg muscles. Now, as we stay here, we breathe. We try not to bring tension into the body, but try to release it with each exhale. Softening the hips a little bit lower to the floor. And then bring that right elbow to the right thigh. That left arm reaches up towards the sky. Side angle pose. You can either stay here or maybe just slide that right hand down to the floor and take that left arm to the right hip behind you. This is half of a bind. A full bind is when you bring that right arm underneath and the fingertips come together for a full bind. We'll release that right hand down, left arm up. Next inhale brings you back up to that warrior two pose. We'll hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Straightening the right leg. And then we'll keep that right leg straight as we extend the fingertips beyond the toes. Dropping the right hand down, left arm up. Utthita Trikonasana, triangle pose. So in this pose, I'm not really leaning too much. I'm still using my core to help support my torso. I'll take that top arm up and over. Now I'm feeling a stretch along my left side body. Left hand will come down. Now the key here is to shorten the stance and then separate the feet to make them a little bit wider stance. That left hand will come down, the right hand to the right hip, and you'll look towards the right. Lastly, you'll reach that right arm up, or maybe you keep that right hand to the hip. Now, it will be different for everyone, so you always have to listen to your own body and what it needs at this time and what support it needs. We'll take that right hand back down. I'm going to step my left foot back again, so I'm realigning my heels. Left arm reaches up towards the sky. And we'll slowly come up out of triangle pose, turning the toes forward, and then the left toes to the left. So a good thing is we just have two sides. So as we bend into that left leg, warrior two. So this is my tighter of the two hips. So I really have to kind of breathe into it. And be okay that I can't go as deep on this side as I can the other. And that left hand will come down. Maybe the hips sink a little bit lower, maybe they don't. That's it, right arm reaches up towards the sky. Stay in here, just reach that left hand down to the floor. This is where a block can be super helpful. Taking that top arm to the left hip, or maybe even going for that full bind with that left arm underneath the thigh. Couple more breaths. And we'll release that bind. Right arm goes back up towards the sky. We'll rise back up into that warrior two. Woo, we'll hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Straighten that leg. Oh, draw the hips back. Reach the arms forward. Triangle. Left hand down, right arm up. If it feels good to bring your gaze up towards the right thumb, you can. If you want to keep your head neutral, the choice is yours. We'll take the top arm up and over. As I root down to the outside edge of my right foot, I get a good stretch through my right side body. We'll take that right hand down. Now with the right hand down, the right foot steps forward and we have a wider stance. Right hand, mine's going to be on a block as my left hand comes to my left hip. I'm going to rotate my chest to the left and draw my left hip back. Left arm goes up when you're ready. But the left arm going up doesn't make the pose. So if you find more balance with the left hand to the left hip, then stay there. But this is a revolved triangle. So the spine is long and there's a twist as that bottom right chest bone reaches towards the left. And that left hand comes back down to the floor. We'll step that right foot back. Right arm reaches up. And we're gonna come all the way back up. There we go. We'll turn the toes forward. You got it. Step those feet together, bringing the hands up and down. I love it. So this particular pose isn't with the balancing series postures, but it is a balancing pose. And we'll start by actually taking our right foot and placing it on the inside of our left ankle, calf, or thigh for tree pose. So as I pick my right foot up, I'm going to place my right foot on the inside of my left thigh or calf.
Be aware of yourself as you are.
Your choice in where you place the arms.
See what is. You have no further problem. The most important thing is self-remembering.
And we'll release that right side. Although I feel like some of you could have been up there for a long time. That was awesome. Great hold. And we'll start with that, we'll go to the left side. That left side will go to the inside of the right thigh or calf.
Always at every moment be aware of what you're doing. Watch yourself.
Great hold, ladies. Feels good. And we'll release that left foot down. I love it. We'll go ahead and come all the way onto our back. Oh, this should feel really good right about now. Once again, another quick sip of water if you're refreshing your body. It is February, and in Florida, we still have warm weather. So it's we're still hydrated all throughout the day and in yoga class. It's warm. So if you come onto your back and your legs are forward, we call this a mini mid-savasana.
Be concentrated. You can be alert.
Just go ahead and just pull that right knee in toward the chest or towards the armpit.
Is what not to do.
Try to relax the shoulders and just allow the biceps to draw the knee in.
You have to let it happen.
It's a great place to be at the end of the day.
You have to let yourself wake up. Become liberated.
We'll release that right leg forward. We'll pull the left knee in towards the chest or armpits. So this is wind removing pose. Right now we're massaging the descending colon. Just drawing that knee in is just massaging those internal organs. So amazing just to think that.
Watch yourself.
We'll bring that right knee in as well, giving ourselves a really big hug. If it feels good, rock side to side or forwards to backwards, you can.
Awake and relax.
And we will begin to rock forwards and backwards. We'll come all the way up into a seated position. In this particular seated position, boat pose, the heels will come forward, the hands will go behind, flexing the feet, lifting the heart up, and then just going back with the elbows slightly bent. The key here is to keep the core engaged. See if you can keep the torso where it's at as the arms reach forward. Now you can absolutely keep the feet on the floor, or you can lift the feet up. There's lots of great modifications. You can straighten the legs. You can even bring the hands behind the thighs as you keep the heart lifted and the feet flex. Great hold, that's it, that's it. Nice, we'll shift the weight forward. Just bring the bottoms of the feet together for a moment. We'll do one more boat pose. One more.
You have to let it happen.
And shifting the weight back once again. Feet come forward, hands go behind you, fingertips forward. Heart lifts up, we go back. Stay here, or maybe choose to reach the arms forward and the feet lifted up. That's it. Keep thinking chest high, so that core is engaged. That's it, last boat pose for the evening. Woo, that's it, that's it. And we'll release, well done. We'll come all the way forward onto our hands and knees.
You have to let it happen.
And then we'll come into a downward facing dog.
You have to let yourself.
We're about to get into our back bending series where we're on our front body.
Become liberated.
We'll just take about 3 more breaths here in our down dog, which is an inversion. 2 more, make sure you're breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Modification here is to drop the knees. And then we'll come forward into our high plank pose. I'm going to drop my knees for that modification. You're going to come all the way down onto your front body. Now, having the hands behind you so that the wrists are underneath the elbow, facing down, press the tops of the feet into the mat, lifting up cobra pose. I'm not really using my arm strength too much. I'm really activating my back muscles. Smaller sips of air, and we'll release. We're going to do 1 more of those. On your next inhale, lift up again. Do you feel any pressure in your lower back? So push your legs a little bit. And we'll release this pose, placing our right cheek on the mat and our arms down by our side. We'll reach the arms out nice and wide. Create some space between the legs as well. And on your next inhale, we'll lift up both the upper body and the lower body up off the floor. Now we're going to hold it not for too long, but just enough where we can make ourselves nice and long, extending through the toes and the fingers. We're going to do 2 sets of these, so let's slowly release, left ear to the mat. And then coming back up again when you're ready, inhale. Lifting, extending, and releasing. We'll place our left cheek back on the mat, our arms down by our side. One more posture on our front bodies today. That'll be floor bow pose. Bending the legs, taking the hands to the feet. We'll be doing 1 set of these. Now, using a strap around the feet or a belt or a towel can be helpful. Taking the feet back, lifting up on the inhale. We'll be holding this for about 20 seconds. So maybe don't go all the way. Maybe kind of slowly rise up. Continue to breathe. So we're about halfway there. Opens up through the fronts of the shoulders. Opens up that front body that we compress all day long. About 5 more seconds. And slowly releasing, always being gentle with ourselves. We're going to press back into a child's pose. So you can keep the knees together or the knees separated. Relaxing the forehead down to the floor. I'm going to reach my arms behind me, but it's all preference. Either you want to put them in front of you or behind you. And we'll reach those arms forward, our last downward facing dog of the evening. We'll walk our feet forward and we'll recline ourselves onto our backs one last time. As you recline onto your backs, bending the knees, placing the feet on the outside edges of the mat, and just allowing the knees to draw inward. It can be a great thing to do. Sometimes if I have a tight back and I'm in bed and I'm just having a really tricky time comforting myself, just doing this can release that pressure in the lower back. And we'll walk those feet in towards each other, 2 fist width, just like we did chair pose. Arms come next to our side, fingertips up, arms down, lifting the hips, bridge pose. Pressing the back of the forehead into the mat. And slowly releasing upper back, middle back, and lower back. We'll do one more set of these, one more set. Once again, lifting as high as it feels good to you. We'll root down through the feet and the backs of the arms, lifting the hips up. And releasing our last bridge pose, upper back, middle back. Oh, see if you can get that lower back to land gently. Draw the knees in, separate the knees. Take the hands to either the ankles or the outside blades of your feet for happy baby pose. Another great posture for the lower back and hips. Releasing just the left leg, we'll pull the right knee in towards the chest. Taking that right knee and dropping the right knee over to the left for a spinal twist. Arms open out to the side. What a great way to end a Monday. You know, it is true that in yoga, we are putting our bodies into shapes that we don't normally do, and it can feel so awkward at times. But the beauty about yoga is that we're balancing out life, right? The tendency to lean forward. Yoga just helps us open up those spaces that we tend to compress. Let's pull the right knee back in. I always say that my yoga practice is a counterpose to life. Let's extend the right leg forward and pull the left knee in. Shimmy your hips over to the left just a couple inches, and then drop that left knee over to the right. You want that left shoulder to be on the ground. Sometimes what will happen is it'll lift up a little bit. So maybe just kind of lift your left knee up a little bit higher so you can drop that shoulder down. And as you come back to center, we'll draw that left knee in one last time. And we'll bring the right knee in as well. It feels good to lift the forehead up and just stretch the back of the neck. That's an option too. Slowly releasing the legs and the arms down by your side. Allowing your feet to splay open, palms facing up. Allow the eyes to also turn inward. Releasing all control of muscle engagement, all control of breath. And just surrendering. And slowly beginning to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Maybe making circles through the ankles and the wrists. Rolling over onto your right side. And then gently pressing yourself all the way up into a comfortable seated position. With the eyes turned inward. We've come to the end of our practice this evening. Thank you for coming this evening and sharing your practice with me. I hope each of you enjoys the rest of this fabulous evening. From my heart to each of yours, namaste. Good night, Seema.